politics, realpolitik and all that sort of stuff, you're taking out the most important figure potentially in the history of the region. If not, well, one of the top ones, certainly the most important during this time period. You take out this guy, you change the whole world. I mean, you try to find other people in history who have been this big. What about Hitler? 1940, not to compare the two in a moral sense, but I mean, you take out Adolf Hitler in 1940 or 1939, and you can't even fantasize on how things are different. And you could say the same thing about someone like, Franklin Roosevelt or Churchill too. No question, had those two died of a heart attack or something at the start of the Second World War. A bazillion things change in major ways, but those systems of diffused power and sorts of internal rules of succession and all of that would have fared much better, right? The U.S. is just going to plug a different president into the White House, and it's going to be different, but in a lot of ways it's not. You take Hitler from the leadership position in Germany right at the start of the Second World War, and you can't even imagine what happens. And the situation in Macedonia when Philip II is murdered is much more similar to that. And it has to do with the fact that so much power is wrapped up in one person, right? And the system itself isn't really set up for what happens without that person. They created this intricate web that really relies on them being the spider in the middle of it for it to all work. And you take the spider out, and then what do you have? So that is a 9/11 moment, right? The minute it happens, everybody watching it knows that everything has changed. They don't know how it's changed. But I get this sense after Philip's murder that everyone's walking around the way we were walking around for the next week after the 9/11 attacks. We all had like little swirls in our eyes, and we just couldn't believe or absorb what had happened. It was like everyone was experiencing this at the same time, and I get the feeling that it must have been similar. Especially in the area of the assassination, with the people who suffered on this. And one of them, of course, being Alexander. I keep trying to figure out, because this is the side of the story where it's a 9/11 attack for Alexander. Also, maybe even, again, more than for most people, because now he's in the spotlight in terms of the most likely person to succeed. But it's a personal one. It's Dad. Dad just got shanked in front of me. Do you get PTSD from that? Just wondering. And the reason I ask is because there's a couple of historians that have put forward the theory that maybe Alexander during his lifetime was suffering from PTSD, but most of the time they draw it back to the many horrific experiences he had in a career of personal combat. This would be at the very beginning, basically. But I mean, if I told